G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and today, well, we're going to be checking out the little Eachine Lizard 105S. And I've got to give a shout out to Eachine. The first time I saw a little lizard, like the original one, I'll leave a link somewhere that should be up here. This thing absolutely screamed. I mean, for such a tiny little size, no one had in our industry, in our hobby, had ever seen little quadcopters move so fast. That was a fair while ago. Nowadays, they seem to be a dime a dozen, and this is the bigger brother, the Lizard 105S. So what we're going to be doing in this video, we're going to be sticking it on the bench, looking at the text and specs, and then we're going to take it out to the field and rip it around. And the one important thing about this one, it's got sort of a HD onboard recording camera there, so we're going to show you that. We'll find out Grumpy Trev's impressions, all that sort of stuff, get Crash Test Cal on the sticks, and see what they think about this bad boy as well, because look, it's pretty different. It's got some crazy things going on there in the design, and yeah, I'm pretty interested to find out how it's going to go, and especially check out the onboard HD recording, because look, for a little micro-sized thing like this, that means, they can't carry a GoPro, but maybe we can get some good footage. Anyway, let's stick it on the bench and get started with the review. Alrighty, so here it is on the bench, and I guess the first thing I'm going to do, let's flash some pictures on the screen, because it is a very, very crazy looking quad. So there's not too many out there that are going to look like this for a little 3-inch racer. Anyway, what we should do, let's stick it on the scales, find out how much this thing's going to weigh. So let's tear these off. It's coming in at 87 grams. So look, that's a pretty light drone, especially when you consider that it's got a circular polarized antenna on the back. And I guess the big draw card for me for this one, the thing I'm excited about, it's the HD footage, that single stack we've got in here, that it can record some HD footage, on such a small little craft. I think that's going to be a great idea, and if it works well, a possible great game changer for our, for our hobby. We want that in the future. Now, what we should do, let's go through some of the components, and we'll talk about the pros, the cons, the designs, the qualities, all that sort of stuff. So, very quickly, you can see we've got some little 4-blade props on the outside. You do get a spare set, which is nice. Underneath that, I'll flash a picture on the screen. We've got 1104, I think they're 4,800 kV. Oh, sorry. Underneath that, we've got our 1104 6,000 kV motors. So on a 4S, this thing should absolutely scream. And it does come with a little 4S generic battery as well. Nothing too special, 500 milliamp hours. And then moving towards the middle, this is where things start to get a little bit crazy. So you can see the frame design, it's sort of taken off the Talon in my, in my experience, the way it's all put together. You've got some vertical parts, some flat parts. I'm not too sure how I feel about that sort of thing. And then on the bottom, this is where things go a little bit crazy. So our ESC in the middle, this part's pretty crazy. It's a 28 amp 4-in-1 in the 20x20 stack. So that is absolutely ridiculous how small it is for 28 amps. That's pretty insane. On the top there, that's where we've got our F4 flight controller, and you'll notice the gyro is sort of suspended in this little bit of silicon, so it's sort of soft mounted, so it's meant to help anyway with the oscillations when we're flying around. And I'll flash a picture on the screen. You do have this sort of loose ribbon cable hanging out the side, which look, I'm not the biggest fan of. And then this part on the top, this is where I think this is a little bit crazy. What we've got a HD recorder that's also your FPV camera, and that's just a single stack, a single board right there, the 20x20 size, and you slide your SD card in just above this ribbon cable. It just sort of slots in. It doesn't pop in or pop out or anything like that. You simply slide it in. Now, some little extras. Look, I got the FreeSky version, so that's where they put the receiver on the top like this. Am I a fan of that? Well, not too much. It's sort of, I think it looks pretty ugly. On the back, we've got a cool little axis antenna. I think that's going to be great. And then we've got our LEDs here. And look, I gave this thing a quick test hover, and I must say it did have a buzzer, but the props were hitting it, and it just sort of popped it off. It flew at me, so that part, I'm not really a fan of how that goes on there either. That part just seems to be like a lot of Eachine things. It's just not quite right. It does a lot right, but this does some things it shouldn't be doing, does some things wrong. Now, I guess when we talk about the design of the thing, well, what can you really say? You're going to either love the design or hate the design. Myself, look, with this picture on the screen, make your own mind up, but I'm not really a fan of what it looks like. I don't really like how it looks whatsoever. There's some other issues too, like the props are clipping. I don't think it looks the most robust. I think it's off. It looks a little bit vulnerable. I'm worried about like this wire getting ripped out and some things like that. Things like this shouldn't happen. Designing this, that's only held on by a bit of sticky pad and that sort of stuff. Look, I think it misses the mark. So does the design process, I think you can do a lot better with our traditional shape, something like this, the XJB or something like that. Even though you've got a little bit more room, I just think it's doing too much and it looks a little bit crazy. We've also got our little VTX in the top right there. It's got some LEDs, and I've got to say, that's the most budget looking homebrew VTX I have ever seen. The way that's sort of hooked up, it looks so dodgy in there. It's nothing stopping it from shorting on the carbon, bar a little piece of foam in between held in with a zip tie. So that part, look, I'm not the biggest fan of that VTX whatsoever. It does have all your standard channels, all the sort of stuff that goes with it, but look, it's just looking a little bit too dodgy for me. Okie dokie, now let's talk about the quality of the thing, and overall I think, look, it's got the sort of Eachine curse or whatever you want to say. I think the quality of this thing, it's for the price you're paying, I don't think it's right up there. I'd say it's only like a 5 out of 10. The solder joints I'm a little bit worried about. I don't like things like, you know, this is an early beta version and hopefully these things change in the future, but spinning these props around, and because they're clipping on the little buzzer that used to be there, you can see, I wonder if I can move this arm a little bit. There you go. That's if your arm moves up a little bit, you're going to need to tighten those bolts, all that sort of stuff, because if it does move up, it's going to clip the frame. So the quality for me, I think it's just sort of lacking at a 5 out of 10. Alrighty, now let's talk about the pros and the cons, and look, this one could be one of each, and that's the look. Some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it. I'm sort of towards the latter. I'm not really a big fan of the way it looks. Now look, I guess some of its pros, it's really small, it's not going to be too intimidating. It does have the potential to go very fast if they can get the tune right and get some oscillations out and that sort of stuff. But when you look at the cons, well, it's, I guess, low quality. I guess the Eachine 5 out of 10 quality. I think things like bumping off that buzzer and all that sort of stuff, the props hitting the frame, loose bolts, all that sort of jazz, I do worry that you're going to get this, you're going to spend your money on it, and it's not going to last you too many flights, or you're not going to have the best time with it. So look, I think I'm a little bit on the fence on how I feel about this one with its quality and things like that. It would make it a little bit difficult to recommend it. Anyway, that's it on the bench. What we should do now, let's go do the fun stuff. Let's go fly it around, see what Trev thinks as well, show you guys some HD footage so you can find out, is this thing going to be a good little drone for you, or are we just going to give it a big miss? Anyway, so let's cut out to the field and rip it around in 3, 2, 1, whoop! Rightio, out here in the field, in the horse paddocks actually, what we're going to do, we're going to rip it around with the Lizard 105. We'll show you guys some of its strange HD, so we'll see how that turns up, see how it goes, and it's kind of crazy because usually you got to put a GoPro on something like this small, but that HD footage, I'm going to be excited if it turns out well. That one board stack, is it going to be better than like even the Runcam Split Mini or something like that? We'll figure that out. Then we'll head over to Grumpy Trev and see what he thinks. And Cal's not here, the slacker, so leave him some grief down below. But let's get into it and fly around with the little Lizard 105. Alrighty, here we go on board, I guess, with the little, some of the HD recording. And there's a few things to get out of the way straight away, and we're going to be talking about, look at these oscillations, we're definitely going to be talking about those. But first things first, I guess just a bit of housekeeping, because Cal's not here, and what I actually wanted to do, that's why this review took so long to get out. We had to wait till we sort of met up again, and I brought this out. So we had Cal ready to fly. You're going to see him later in the video, but we decided to do the speed run first, and then of course, you guys are going to see what happens in the speed run. So Cal's flight in the speed run is a little bit different with this video, and but we're still going to get Grumpy Trev when he's flying it around as well. Now, what we're seeing, this is the onboard, this is the HD video, and I guess that's something I want to talk about. I think the camera, for its size and a one board stack, actually does a pretty good job. Yes, it looks terrible when you compare it to a GoPro and some things like that, but if you've got the option to put one stack in, it's sort of this size, it's going to be very lightweight, and it looks way better than some DVR. This is sort of the perfect solution for some of that micro recording. So I think for what it does a good job. It's not going to replace a GoPro or anything like that. And speaking of the camera, I did need to come in here because I couldn't get the speed right. I needed Trev to sort of change the angle for me because it was a bit too shallow in its stock configuration. But now with that out of the way, we tilted the camera up a bit more, and you can see, look, it does have plenty of power for like a little 2.5 inch, but it is so unstable. I definitely don't think it's made for 4S, and Trevor does fly it around on 3S, and the oscillations are a little bit better because I was watching in his goggles as well when he was flying it. But regardless, I just don't think it's going to be a very good FPV experience for people who want something out of the box. And look, I don't know if it's because of its shape or because of the components, but for me, the flight experience, it just wasn't there. I definitely think if it was smooth, you would have a little ripper that you would have a lot of fun with. You can do some really cool little acro, and especially because it's so small and it can record HD, I do think it's got some potential. But in its current, I guess, configuration and PID settings, I don't think it's going to be for everybody. Now, what we were meant to do here, because we've got Wingman Jono out with us, you know, he was going to be flying some wings around and chasing them. I wanted to get some HD footage of that sort of stuff, and I do want to learn how to fly some wings, but you're going to see what happened to the wings and why there's no actual wing chasing footage in this. So thanks very much, Wingman Jono. But yeah, overall, look, I, to be honest, wasn't really too much of a fan of this quad. It had too many issues to sort of make up. I like the innovations trying to go after that one stack HD recorder, but overall, it just wasn't hitting the nail on the head, and there's no point having all those good features if it's not very smooth and stable to fly, because nobody really wants to fly around a quad that's jumping all over the place, especially when you push the throttle and you want to have some fun, you know, then it goes crazy. It's okay in sort of the 40-50% throttle range, but anymore, it goes a bit verco.
Can't really put.
Now, Jono, what happened here? Because we were going to chase your plane with the little lizard, but what did you decide to do?
Oh, I decided to put a 4-cell battery in it, ram it into the ground at 4.4. So it was pretty fun. You should give it a shot sometime.
Yeah, you should have done that after we chased it, mate.
I reckon it'll fly again.
All right, GT, we've got the little lizard 105, but we're putting a 3S on there because look, it was all over the shop with a 4S. So we'll record some footage as well so the guys can see, but we'll see how it goes on a 3S. But what are your impressions of this?
Well, this looks really horny.
You like the design?
Oh, I reckon it's great. It's way better than the first one, and like look-wise, I just hope it flies as good as it looks. Plus the camera, you know, recording a camera in there as well.
Yeah, we'll have to check that HD part, but see if it turned out. But I am impressed how it's only one stack and a HD recorder. Yeah, so that's pretty crazy.
I tell you what, you're going to wet yourself over this, guys. This looks really good.
If it flies,
yeah, I hope it flies.
Yeah, if it's better, because it did have. Like I'm telling you now, on 4S, well, it was Oscillation City, so we'll see how it goes on 3S.
We'll see, but geez, it does look good. Well, then again, we've had stuff that looks good that was crap, so we'll see what happens.
Yep. Righty, Trevor Dever, and also we've got my battery's going flat, so we're going to be hearing that. Sorry, guys, in my radio. Of course, my battery's going flat, but
there we go. Oh yeah, geez, it goes all right, but there is lots of oscillations.
Yep.
Look, I like it. It's got plenty of grunt, but oscillations are going to drive you nuts. The camera is really, really good.
Is there any latency or anything like that?
No, nothing.
Often that's a big problem with these sort of splits and HD recorders. Are you getting any latency with this?
No, I can't notice any latency at all. I'm moving the sticks, pointing at stuff, and it's moving where I want it without any latency, if you can get me drift there. No, it's nice. But I'm just wondering whether, if you get something like this, is something you're going to have to spend a little time with tuning it.
Yep.
Unfortunately, out of the box, it's not real good. I'm only flying on a 3S.
Yeah, and trust me, on a 4S it was even worse, I gotta say. I'm watching the feed too in my goggles every now and again. I'm pulling it down to see how it's going.
Like it's flyable. Even acro, it's pretty good. It's responsive. It's coming back to me how I want it to come back. If a little quiet, I'm pretty impressed. If I had one of these, I'd probably spend a little time on trying to tune this thing. I wouldn't normally waste my time on anything else, but being so small.
All right, I'll go get it. All right, Trev, you've turned my radio off, so we're not going to get those beeping noises. You just hold the button down.
Yeah,
there we go.
Now.
That was it. Impressions on the Lizard 105.
Well, that battery's come down pretty warm.
Yep.
I was given a bit of grief though. Look, I do like it, but out of the box, it's going to give you the shits because there's a lot of oscillations. Love the camera, I love the build, but the oscillations are going to give me the shits, so it didn't fly out of the box, and that's what we're for. I mean, I like them flying out of the box, don't have to stuff around with them. So this is not a beginner's quad. Someone that's experienced will probably have a bit of fun with one of these, if you can get those little wobbles out of the thing.
What do you think we would need to do to change that up?
Well, we're going to mess with the PIDs,
yep,
for sure. So it's going to be trial and error, and you're going to spend a bit of time on it, which you want to get out and fly these things. You don't want to be stuffing around with them. Camera is great, no latency in the camera, but yeah, we haven't seen the HD yet, so hopefully that's good. If that's good, we'll hope they sell them separate. Looks good, tastes good, but out of the box, flies like
okay.
So
Grumpy Trev, out of 10 in terms of performance.
Performance 6.
And what about value for money out of 10 for about like the 160, 170 bucks? What do you reckon?
Well, look, it doesn't fly, so I'd give it about a 6 for value as well, because if it was flying out of the box, it'd be worth the money. At the moment, it's not, because it doesn't fly good. You have to spend. Look, personally, I'd be prepared to spend a bit of time on something like this to get it fly, because it does look so good. But newbies are going to have a lot of grief with this, so experienced guys only for these, I'd say.
You a fan of the original Lizard that came out a little while ago?
Yeah, that thing went like a cut cat. So yeah. This thing's fast as well. I mean, it's probably keep up with that, but this is just so full of jello, it's not funny.
Yeah. All right, nice. Thanks, Trev. Where's Cal today? What's he doing?
I think he's sleeping in.
He's getting
again,
slow.
Yeah.
We're just about to chase you with this, see if we can get some wing HD action, Jono, but what's going on with your wing, mate?
Took a bit of a tumble before.
Alright, so show me the good stuff. Show me when it works well.
Okay, so yeah, good stuff. Is that one? That's
Which
fine.
one? Which one?
Look at that, that's good, that's good.
Yeah, it's all working?
Yeah, and this is not how it's supposed to work.
Oh, that's not a good noise. Okay,
we still going to give it a go?
We're going to give it a go. We're giving it some field repairs.
And
so
what have you didn't even use glue. What have you put it together with?
Just some of Trevor's tape. It's Trevor's quality tape. I'm sure.
Right.
Jono, you do realise if we can't chase this, you're going to have to start running.
That'll be some good chase cam.
Actually, what plane is this?
This one is the Zeo HD Dart.
Are you a fan of this one? Before you crashed it?
Yeah, quite good. It's a little bit tricky to balance, so probably not good for like newbies and stuff like that. But having the swept forward wings makes it quite fun. Yeah.
Okay.
So it comes in any colour as long as it's white?
Yeah, just white.
All right, let's do it. I'll see if I can find it. I'll link it down below anyway. But let's do it. Let's chase it. You might not even get up, mate. You might be all over before it starts. Jono, we were just going to go chase you. You had one attempt and then you threw it the other way. What happened, mate?
It was working really well. I was quite pleased with my field repairs. I was feeling really good about them, and then it just dropped out of the sky. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Is this part meant to come off like that?
Yes, actually, that part is.
Okay.
Yeah, the good thing about these guys, little magnets on the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah, all of that stuff isn't supposed to be like that, though.
All right, maybe we
But
should unplug that battery. It's making me nervous, mate.
This is the guy that's going to teach you to fly. I want to be there for that.
Oh, it's going to be good. You should make the trip. No, I reckon it'll be good. Look, field repairs are holding.
No wing chasing footage today, guys. Sorry, blame Jono. And go check out his Instagram. What's your Instagram, Jono?
It's Hi, I'm Jono.
All right, we'll link that somewhere in the description as well. Righty, you two, how fast do you think the Lizard 95 is going to go on a 4S today? A little 2-inch quad. What do you reckon? Miles per hour, one number.
75.
75, Trev?
65 if it doesn't disintegrate before that.
Okay. All right, let's do it. Ready to suit up? You're halfway there?
Halfway
Got
there.
your helmet on?
Yep, we're ready to do battle with this little sucker.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
So the plan was to do this while Cal was suited up for the speed run, because we'd just done the Jardina speed run, and we thought, all right, let's do this as well. We'll get the little Lizard, get your speed run, and then Cal was going to come back and have his impressions. And yeah, you'll just find out what happens and why Cal didn't get to fly.
Okay guys, we're about to do the speed run test for the Lizard 105. But I can tell you, if it tries to take a little nip out of me, I'm gonna bat that thing out of the park, I'm telling you. All right, Stu, let's see what the Lizard can do. I'll be surprised if this radar gun can even actually get it to register, so let's see what happens. We've been plagued with technical issues. Let me sing you a song of the seabirds, I fish fingers, Lizard 105. All right, let's see what it can do. Bloody useless. Stewie's having troubles over there. I'm starting to wonder if he's got a prop on backwards or something. Big trouble in Little China. Not looking good, folks. Well, looks like we determined that the maximum speed for the Lizard 105 in our speed run test is 0. Or about as fast as Stu can throw the thing. It's just not happening, folks. What's going on, Stu?
Not much.
Wants to play DJ.
So before you even got a flight, Cal, or a speed run, it just didn't work.
Alrighty, so there it is. There's my review of the Eachine Lizard 105S, and overall, look, for me, I'm just not a fan. I know Trevor liked the way it looks, and this review was a bit mishmashed. We took it out, flew it around, and then a little while later, then we finally got Cal ready for it, because he wasn't there when we first went to do it. But when it was finally his turn, it didn't work. The speed run, we didn't even get to hit it with the speed run, because look, I don't know what was happening. So their quality control is definitely lacking, and yeah, at its current state with that HD recording and sort of what the quality looks like, I don't think it's there yet. I'm not going to be jumping over and making the switch anytime soon. And on top of that, the flight characteristics were a little bit unstable as well. So for me, I'm not going to be flying this one very, very often. Anyway, what do you guys think? Drop your comments down below. Maybe you've had a better time. You know, I do think it's got plenty of power, but maybe you've had a better time with your one. Subscribe for more FPV related content. And as always, happy flying.
I'm a young girl, yeah. Young girl, yeah. Alrighty. I got a ticket to ride, but she don't care.